All right, so let's do this quick tier list for fall 2021 anime. Take a quick look here. Never gonna watch JoJo. The only reason I watch this show would be if I wanna play more AMQ, but don't really like JoJo. Didn't watch this. This is a monthly show. I didn't really watch it. All right, Selection Project. Selection Project's actually pretty good. I think it is a bit boring. Like there's not much substance to it, but the songs are alright. I mean the characters they're pretty bland, but the story is like interesting enough by itself. It's pretty predictable, but it gets the job done. It's just a pretty average idol anime. Leave it in C for now. Aquarium. It's like a typical PA work show. It's like a few girls getting together, doing their thing. I was really tilted through halfway through the season where I think they should have just ended it at 12 episodes and have Fuka go record the movie. But they want to have everyone work at Aquarium, have some nice self discovery. Can't complain too much. I don't think there's anything in particular I don't like about it, but like I don't think it's all that interesting. All right, Scarlett Nexus. It's a game adaptation, so it naturally can't be above an average anime. Like I think the bar for a game adaptation is Persona 5 where you like just kind of know what's going on. I don't play these games, so it's like it's hard to follow along with the story usually, and they're just trying to cram like maybe 60 70 hours of gameplay into like an anime. And when you're playing a game, like sometimes a lot of times it's like the gameplay that matters, like the story is just it's supposed to kind of like move the gameplay along rather than the other way around. But in anime it's like basically totally story driven. And it's Scarlet Nexus, it's pretty predictable. Like you're fighting aliens, but usually, like with these things, you end up fighting actual humans because they're the ones behind the stuff. They're pretty ambitious with the story. There's like moon people. There's time travel, which is just kind of a shitty gimmick. But yeah, overall, like I can follow along with it, and the story's not too confusing, so it's pretty much all you expect from like an anime like this. Platinum End. Oh, I'm still tempted to put it into D tier, but it's like it's actually not that terrible. It's not good, but it's not terrible. Like I hate the main character. He's so lame. He's so boring. Like the story itself is not too bad. Like it's like decently interesting, but there's just nothing new about it. Like battle royale is like not new, and yeah, it's just nothing memorable about the story at all. Like the edgy character, the people sacrificing themselves for like trying to screw other people. It's like nothing new about it. Oh, I don't know how Sunrise turned every single mecha anime into like a slice of life show, but Kyoka Senki is pretty bad, if I'm being honest. There's like barely any action if that's what you're in it for. And I can't even remember the character's name. That's how like generic they are. Story wise, there seems to be more slice of life than actual, like people doing stuff. So pretty bad. Yeah, I'm not watching One Piece. Let's get this out of here. It's also not here. This is the entertainment arc, right? Yeah. Entertainment arc. I mean, I haven't seen enough of it, so there's just only one episode out. But can't go wrong with Demon Slayer. Show looks great. Story is like generic, like non-generic enough. the characters are like all likable. You can't ask for much more than that. Like usually like people hate on shonen characters. Like everyone hates like Naruto or whatever. But Tanjiro's actually a pretty nice guy, so bless his soul. Tesla knows fucking terrible. Don't watch the show. Blue Pure is actually pretty good. The story is pretty nice and relaxing. People complain about the animation for the show, but honestly, I didn't notice too much problem with it. I mean, like this show is just gonna be a lot of dialogue, and anyway, you're not gonna have like fucking Bob Ross here, like on like a 1440p monitor, just screen capping people drawing. So overall, I'd say it's a pretty interesting show. Like you got all the characters' interactions, and I just think it's very brave of them to do like such a boring topic and actually have it so character focused. Alright. This show's terrible. It's not funny at all. It's just stupid. Miruko-chan. I think it's just a painfully mediocre show. Like, I think the first few episodes are just really bad. Like, there's just no substance in the show at all. But in the more recent episodes, they actually have some sort of like more of a cohesive structure, which definitely helped a lot. But if I were to actually rate the show, like it's hard for me to say it's above average, because if you look at it, like the animation, art, character design, like it's pretty average. The story, like what kind of story is there, right? And and I don't know, people seem to like the show, but I just find it very hard to take it seriously, but it fails to be a very scary or a very funny show. So yeah, Komi-san, I would say it's like a slight disappointment. The animation is good, but I think it's just like overall, I would say it's like a slightly worse version of Kaguya-sama. It's like the same genre, right? It's like romance, comedy, like slice of life school. But I just think in general the characters, I wouldn't say the characters are less unique, but the characters are less interesting. And they're the story is just much less cohesive, because in Kaguya there's there's like an overall, it's divided into overall arcs. Like there's like um there's like school festival arc, this and that, and then it's all connected together by the overarching like theme of them trying to get together, at least in the first 3 seasons. Later on, like they do other stuff, but that's beside the point. And Komi-san doesn't have that, at least so far it doesn't. And it's just in general really hard to have very well developed characters when one of them's thing, like Tadano's main thing, is he's just like kind of a normal person. and and when your main character is very boring, it's like an isekai self-insert, and your main girl is someone whose whole quirk is that she can't communicate, you're not gonna be able to get a lot of depth out of these characters. It's it's hard to have like a lot of interesting stuff. So you have two fucking boring ass rocks like together most of the time, and that makes it really hard to have develop interesting scenarios. But still overall it's not bad. I think it's the story's good. The animation's perfect. Like, what are even are these shows? Okay, Build Diver is garbage. The game is garbage. The anime is garbage. Just don't waste your time. I haven't seen this show in like forever. 86. All right, 86 is the second core. You know, I already said like the first book's probably like the best book in this the series by far, and they stretch it out for season one. So for core two, they're gonna adapt book three and book four. Oh, sorry, book two and book three. But you know, it's just the story just not as interesting as the original volume, and they added Frederica. You know, people generally don't like bratty characters. I don't either. It's no Lena, no waifu. So you know, like it's still got all the same things going for it as the first core. It's got good visuals, good music. You know, it's got still the for the most part same cast of characters. But it just at this point feels kind of repetitive, and Frederica just doesn't add anything to the anime as a whole. But anyway, it's like decent. I'm not gonna harp on it too hard. You know, it's they based on the source material they've adapted it basically the perfect way, and I'm just pretty excited to see the ending of the show, which I think will be the highlight of the season. Way of the House Husband. It's a pretty average show. I think it has some funny moments, but like it's like supposed to be like a visual comic, so like you're not really expecting to see like a lot of good animations, and I think it's hard for episodic shows in general. It's the same problem with Komi-san, right? It's hard for episodic shows in general to really rank high for me, because story wise you're just gonna get a lot of repetitive slices of life stuff, and there's not enough like drama, I guess, to kind of get the story moving. But it has some funny moments, and it's not much more you can ask for. Fruit of Evolution, it's like one of those so bad it's good show. Um, in terms of enjoyment, I would probably put it like somewhere here, but like objectively, it's like here. You know, it's I'll put it like above Scarlet Nexus, but uh, what am I even supposed to say for the show? Like I don't like if anyone takes this show seriously, then they're just trolling, right? Uh, it's just a stupid isekai, like kind of it's like a harem, stupid ass OP main character, self insert show. Like it's really nothing, not nothing about it is new. Like I've seen everything about it already. Okay, Osama game. This is like our first S tier show. This show is amazing. Like I think the first three episodes are, pretty slow, and I actually didn't really like Bochi at the beginning, but as the show went on, like the story got a lot more complex and interesting, and I really do think the best part of the show are the characters. All of them are very unique, and when you look at like whether or not like they're villains or they're the main characters, protagonists or whatever, they all have like a clear motivation behind what they're doing, and none of their motivation feels like a cheap gimmick. Like they all have, as weird as it sounds, they all have integrity. They all have a bottom line. They all have something they believe in. Cliche as it may be, and everyone has like a complicated circumstance, and it just feels like, you know, this uncontrollable force is like forcing them to do these things, and what that thing is like slowly being revealed throughout each episode. Like I at no point did I feel like, man, this like just hate this character, this bad guy. This bad guy is just bad for the sake of it. His parents got murdered when he was like 2, and he's like grew up an orphan and getting abused or something. Like no, I never felt that way. It always felt like they're real, they have a legitimate motivation for everything to do. So this is a show that I would be able to recommend to everybody because there's not a lot of there's nothing that people would negatively associate anime with in this show. That's pretty much it. Oh my god, this is the Assassination Isekai is like the most degenerate Isekai ever. And degenerate not as in like fan service, but just as in the story. They something I've noticed more recently is that they've actually been having like adapting less volumes into animes. So they're gonna adapt volume 1 for like 12 episodes, which is pretty impressive. Although I guess there's a lot of content in this. Oh, it's just hard personally for me to really like shows where the main character is like an old guy, like old guy reincarnated into like a young guy. Like if they're okay, typically they die when they're like like 15, 20, whatever. They get reincarnated, they skip like their childhood, whatever, and then the story usually starts when they like start school, which is like 12 or like high school or whatever. So like there's not that much of an age gap between how old they were when they died and then how old they were like when we're like seeing the story. But like with old guys, it's like such a big disjoint. Like it's like an 80-year-old guy like just like looking at these like 15-year-olds and like so weird. Like but anyway, that's beside the point. The story is like it's nothing special, nothing really super entertaining about it. And frankly speaking, I don't think the show looks so good. But I know like probably checks a lot of people's boxes because of the power fantasy and whatnot. And the main advantage this show has over for the evolution, one is like slightly less retarded. It's just more edgy, and the sharper it is, the more like certain type of people are liking it. NK Monogatari, it's above average show. Everything looks good. I don't like historical shows in general, but this one is definitely pretty good. I mean, the story based on is supposed to be like a Japanese classic, like historical tale or whatnot. But it's just hard to track all the names when they're like pretty similar. And I think like history as a whole is just not a very easy genre to adapt because it tends to be pretty boring. But still, like, you know, the show actually does everything pretty well, so good on them. Alright, Mushoku Tensei. I'll put it up in A tier. It has, out of all these shows so far, I would say it has the highest production value, maybe aside from Demon Slayer. The story wise, it's like a very like everything else this author does. It's very slow paced. They go at it at a very they take your time developing like the power level, the world, and like the story. Like a lot of the other isekais, what happens, like the guy gets OP at the beginning, and then they like defeat like the demon lord, or like just like shits on some like pretty high power level guy at the beginning, and then you're like, oh well shit, like it's not much to do, but gotta print some dollars, so they're just kind of like lost in the sauce trying to do all this other random stuff, but you're like you're kind of already like finished the end game. It's like you already beat the Elite Four, and now you're just finishing the Pokedex. If people like that kind of stuff, then sure. Mushoku Tensei like takes their time. Like you're you're still kind of trying to find out like what you're trying to do in this world, and it's not like set, but you're just like slowly discovering the world and like yourself as you go along. People's main problem with this show is like Rudy is being basically like a pervert, and and yeah, like frankly speaking, I'm not sure like how I feel about it. Like I don't think removing that aspect would detract from the show, but I also don't really mind that they left it in. I think it does get awkward at sometimes, but I think a lot of the people's problem with it is just like, like really is like looting after underage girls, but yeah, like when you're like 12 or like 13 or whatever, you also think about doing nasty things with your crush, like holding hands or whatever. Like you're the only reason you're not thinking about worse things is like maybe you haven't discovered Pornhub yet. But anyway, that's beside the point. Like I do think maybe like Rudius could be like a little bit more normal, but I haven't seen like there aren't that many like scenes where like him being like kind of a degenerate are affecting like the flow of the story. And there's some of them is pretty funny, like when they're on the boat where, and then like Eris is like, "Yo, you smell weird." I'm like, "Oh, I got a chuckle out of me. That's pretty funny." But yeah, overall, it's like what someone said. It's like a good show, but it's not something that I feel safe recommending to anyone unless like I know they're a degenerate and they know I'm a degenerate. Techtop Destiny. It's like a average show. Put it somewhere around here. You know, it's a music show, so it obviously can't go higher than this. It's also original. But this show looks good. So far, the story's cohesive. I follow along with it. There's not a lot of, like randomly aliens coming down. Okay, there's aliens, but there's not like randomly like more aliens coming down. But like with alien shows, like the end goal is not to fight the aliens. The end goal is to fight the people. I mean, there's still 3 episodes, so maybe it'll like explode into like the middle of the sun, and it'll be worse. But I rarely change my evaluation of the show 3 quarters into the show. Like the only exception is like Wonder Egg Priority, where up to like episode 10 it's actually really good, and then you just can't figure out how to end the show. I mean, it still might happen with Techtop Destiny, but I think like I mean maybe I'm small brain, but I just can't imagine how like they'll manage to make it something that it's not, which is people fighting other people, I guess, with music, with the power of music. Very exciting. So maybe it'll go down, but it's probably not gonna go up. This is not aired yet. Goma Doki-chan. This show has a better story. It's a better love story than fucking Assassin. Like unironically, I actually, I actually kind of like all the characters in here. I think it's so funny. Like with the 5 minute story, like there's a total of maybe like 3 episode normal anime airtime, and then you get shit like Assassin. I'm just like, like I honestly rather watch this. It's like a cutesy 5 minute short, with good character design and just like random ass drama. Just 5 minutes of enjoyable time. Oh, Shino Nakama. It's a pretty average show. It's like slice of life isekai. It's like drugstore on drugs, I guess. Like cutesy to the max with a little more action, not as retarded. Nothing about it is memorable because I can't remember. Like basically, there's I don't remember any like particularly exciting events. I just the most memorable part of this show is like Booba and how often they take bath. Like it's actually crazy. Like whenever they want to do anything, they're just like, all right, into the bath we go. All right, Isekai Shokudo. If you watch the first season, you know what it's like. Second season, nothing much has changed. First season, at least, you can have some like backstory. Oh, like how they get all these waiters, like how he inherited this thing, how like the restaurant like came to be or whatever. The second season, you're like, well, shit, we can't do that anymore. So, you know, gets a bit more repetitive. Eventually, they're gonna run out of food, so let's see what happens then. Virtual Prism, like gay vampires, gay card games, drug dealers. Oh my god, I don't like Netflix shows. This is a great show. Oh, the blood-sucking moon princess. It's actually more slice of life than anything else. But it's just got a very calming atmosphere and has like a space exploring based story that slowly progresses. It for the most part it's like kind of based in history, so everything is not too crazy even though there's vampires in it, and they're just slowly grow and the main character is slowly growing to know each other. Pretty stereotypical, but the execution is there. And that's pretty much it. It's hard to complain about the story. It's like somewhere around here. Honestly, I'm pretty disappointed with Sahara no Paladin. I don't think it's a very good adaptation at all. I don't know how I would go about fixing it actually. But there's just a lot of dialogue. Nothing's explained very well. They're not pushing the pace correctly. They're spending a lot of times on things that is sort of irrelevant and not spending a lot of time really developing the characters. I don't know. All the characters feel so flat in the show, where like in the novel at least, like they seem a lot more fleshed out. But I guess it's a pretty common problem with light novel adaptations. The same problem is like with Mahoka, where like Onisama is more than a guy that just takes out a gun, but it's hard to kind of translate that into anime. But with a Mahoka, at least there's a lot more action. Bakugan, honestly, it's kind of disappointing. The first two episodes are really good. Like they really set up the world and the story. And now they're doing fetch quests. It's like you're playing an MMO. You're like, oh shit, gotta save the world, gotta defeat that Ender Dragon God or whatever. And then you get out of training. Your village gets destroyed. You get your sword and you're like, oh fuck it, let's do some fetch quest. Let's deliver some medicine to the old lady next door. Maybe kill 20 rats in the sewers. It's got that kind of feel. It's not a lot of exploring. For a show about like exploring like the labyrinth, they're spending an awful lot of time in towns, like just like drinking and talking, which is just kind of gross. Also, the CG, some of the CG looks a little bit off. Love, everyone's favorite show that is getting butchered. Like I didn't expect anything for the show, but I'm still disappointed. You know, I'm here to enjoy a good time watching people bash in like horribly animated CGI like alien dudes, and then there's a lot of talking and a lot of time traveling. I mean, I never read the visual novel, but still, like, come on, just get to the alien bashing. And I swear, if this also turns into a story where like the end goal is not to beat the aliens, to beat the but instead to beat the people, I will actually just take out someone, like show up to anime producers studio with like a signboard or something, just go on strike. Like what the hell is this? This show's terrible. Like I thought it might be bad, but it's just there's just nothing going for it at all. There's no, you know, unlike Made in Abyss, there's no exploration. Unlike Made in Abyss, there's no character that's interesting. And they tried, but the end result is just a massive piece of turd that makes no cohesive sense. They're trying to get things moving, so they're like, ah, fuck it, like time loop. It's just like a cheap gimmick, or like, ah, fuck it, I don't know what to do here. So tossing a time loop, someone will probably eat it up. Yuki Yuna, Lupin, Pride of Orange. Holy shit, is this show so boring? There's there's not enough saying for an idol show. There's not enough actually playing hockey for a sports anime. And there's not enough drama to be like a school show. So it's just like a shitty slice of life that, it's like rated like a 1 in like every category. And they beat Candace, and so it's completely bullshit. All these shows I didn't watch. I mean, this is basically the movie, right? So it's like here, like everyone's watch it. It's great. Do do do. This show is like a D tier show. Just a boring slice of life. Like none of the characters left any sort of impression on me at all. The slice of life like story is just not interesting. They're not doing anything that other people don't do, and I just can't remember any of their interactions at all. Like the dialogues and what they do, it just all blends together. It's a great show for like like listening to on the side when I'm doing Genshin Impact dailies or something. But oh my goodness. Put on your earphones, headphones, whatever. Get your DAC amp. It's ASMR time. This is actually a pretty good show. I love cutesy romance shows. No NTR, no bullshit. Just two people having a good time together, and that's what this is. It's set in. It's historical based, but can't hate on that. Gloomy guy, reminds me of myself. XD. And who doesn't want a cute girl to take care of them? It's like the ultimate self-insert. Someone to like, you have money, do what the fuck you want, and you have a cute girl, making you food, taking care of you. It's the dream. And there's actually like enough side story kind of aside from like the romance stuff that like the the flirting, the cutesy like blushing or whatever doesn't get old. For like a 12 episode pace, I think that's good. Like if you stretch it out to like 50 episodes, then maybe like you'll be like, ah, oh, fuck, this shit's boring. But for 12 episodes, it's great. No complaints. I don't even know what this is. Jujutsu Kaisen's movie. Why does this show up twice? Anyway. Alright, Jahi-sama. Put it like maybe here or here. I think it's a solidly average show. It's like same as it's same as this, but I think with like when you add magic, you can have like really wacky characters, and that makes it a bit more unique and stands out your show a bit more. But still, like slice of life comedy, like episodic stuff, it's just hard to like rank that kind of show above like average unless they're like absolutely exceptional. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this season. And we'll see you guys for the next one.